welcome to my house. Woo-hoo! Yay! All right, my name is Victoria Heeks Knight, and I am your host here on Hockey Talk. Today, I do apologize for this video being late, but I think it will be worth the time to make sure that everything is perfect. All right, so first off, we're going to cover pregame, first period, second period, third period. I do have a question and my favorite moments. Now, some of these favorite moments, or most of these favorite moments, are going to be talking about the scuffles and the that happened in the third period. So just bear with me. We will get to that part at the very, very end. So let's talk pregame. There was an interview with head coach Rod Brindamore, and as always, he gave a fantastic interview comparing his team to the Capitals, and excuse me, like I said, just an overall great interview discussing the many different aspects of the Capitals and the many different aspects of the Canes as well. Now, that's all I pretty much have for the pregame. It pretty simple, pretty straightforward. A round of applause for Rod Brindamore for, bringing that to the table. Anyway, first period, lots of good plays on goal, lots of good shots on goal, lots of good back and forth on both sides from the teams. The Capitals goalie, Logan Thompson, did take a puck to the head in the first, and it did knock off his mask. I could not find anything about him being injured in that play. I could be very, very wrong, but in a very, very unusual move, they pulled him after the first intermission. Then the next thing that happened was the second period. The game really started to get chirpy, and there were a lot of back and forth between players. Words were exchanged back and forth between both teams. The third period, great offensive plays by both teams. There were several confrontations, several back and forths, scuffles between players that happened in the third period. I will circle back to those. I promise I will. And the goalies, particularly our goalie, gave a great performance. All right, now here's my question for the night. Okay, okay, what the hell happened to Svechny? He was there, then all of a sudden he's gone. And from what I found on the World Wide Web was that he is day to day. So apparently he got injured again. I watched the game and I'm very confused. What happened? Rah! Anyway. All right. So now we've gotten to the part where we can talk about the third period. All the scuffles, all the confrontations, all the throws, all the hits, etc. Okay. So we have talked about this on this channel before. I am going to reiterate it here and say I do not want anyone to get hurt. Okay? I don't want anyone to get injured. I don't want anyone to have career ending injuries at all. Okay? But unfortunately, we all enjoy talking about the, back and forth, the fight ding dings, the fighting that happens in hockey. So let me break this down. First off, toward the beginning of the third, there was one of the players tried to get into it with Aho. I believe there was also a moment where they tried to get into it with Jarvis, but that wasn't what really, 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 really got poppin', if you will. So the sequence of these mm, the sequence of these confrontations, scuffles, um, intense canoodling, if you will, happened in a very, very different sequence than what I'm about to present them. By the end of the game, I was very, very confused as to what was like I was very confused as to who all ended up out of the game, what the calls were. It got by the end of the game, it was a spicy game. Okay, so let's get to it. So first off, something that I feel we need to discuss is Chatfield. He had a scuffle with one of the Capital players, and oh my God, that man performed a leg takedown to the ice, and it was smooth and crispy. Now, like I said before, I do not want anyone to get hurt, but the way that man landed that sweep, um, yeah, I feel sorry for if he has any daughters. I feel sorry for any boyfriends that they bring home someday. Let me just put it that way, and let me put it just at the end of that. Okay? He and the other player were sent to the locker room. Okay? Then again, I tried to keep track of who all got involved in these, like I said earlier, s- uh over the top canoodling skadoodling. Um I believe it was our 77, Burns and Joust, who got into a kerfuffle with several Capitals players. I tried to keep track of everybody, but like I said, when people are moving around and there's a lot of moving parts and people are being sent to the locker room, it's very, very freaking hard to keep track of who all's still in the game and who all's not. Okay, so then number 77 for the Canes and number 26 for the Capitals were in their respective penalty boxes. Right, right. All right. Well, then they proceeded to, you know, chirp at each other and exchange words and be, less than beneficial to each other or their teams because at the end of the day, they got sent to the locker room too. Yay! Yeah. Then there was also a like I said, aggressive canoodling skadoodling with Stankoven. He got into a tit for tat at one point, and he and the other player that he got into this tit for tat with ended up being sent to the locker room. Now, this for me is was one of the best parts of this game was at the end of every game, the Carolina or every home game, the Carolina Hurricanes acknowledge a at least three players who did exceptionally well in the game. They're called the stars of the game, right? Right. Well, Stankoven was recognized as one of those stars, and he did not let the fact that he was in street clothes stop him from coming and celebrating and tossing a puck to the crowd. Very funny, very entertaining, and a great moment in 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 the playoff hunt. Now, like I said, all of the players that were involved in this aggressive canoodling skadoodling were sent to the locker room before the end of the game with penalties. So yeah, lots of, like I said earlier, it was a spicy, aggressive canoodling skadoodling that happened at the end of this game. So anyway, that's about all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do. If you have comments, please keep it cute and comment in the comment section below. My name is Victoria Heeks Knight here on Hockey Talk. Thank you so much for coming to my house. Woohoo!